Prime Time Local News, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Hi there and welcome to Primetime Local News. I'm Jackson Fontaine and thank you for joining me. Farmers markets are a great spot to find some goodies or just to browse the different items. In this week's Beyond the Classroom, we see Holy Rosary students prepare for the school's third annual farmers market, with this year being the biggest one yet.
All grades at Holy Rosary have the opportunity to participate in a school-wide farmers market. While the staff is a part of the setup process, it's the students behind the scenes that make this event possible.
Yeah, it just seems to be getting more bigger and bigger every year, and just kind of expanding in the things that are brought in. Like I said, we have Cosmo this year. We're bringing supper options in this year too, so we're going to hopefully have some tables sitting out. People can bring their families down, have a few fun things for supper, and try some of the food.
Each person taking part in the market are learning more conversational skills, as well as how business is conducted.
It's a really cool opportunity for all the students here at Holy Rosary because they kind of get to use the skills that they learn in class, and we take it into like almost more of a workforce experience, and we kind of just get to show all of the skills we learned. So as a Cosmos student, we are doing nails, we're doing face painting, and we're doing hair tinsel. So it's for all ages, which was really cool.
Holy Rosary is excited to continue hosting this event, showcasing the creative side of Holy Rosary.
You know, we're always really proud of our sports here at Holy, but just the different side of things, the artistic side of things, and I'm really just proud to be able to show all the talents we have here.
The market is taking place on May 22nd from 3:30 to 7 p.m. And that's all for this week's edition of Beyond the Classroom.
This is your classroom. Hands-on learning like you've never seen.
Lloydminster held a housing symposium to discuss housing-related challenges in the border city. Arlene Hofford has more on a day that was filled with important discussions.
Over 200 people gathered at the Lloyd X grounds for a housing symposium. This symposium was put on by the Lloydminster Housing Working Group with the goal of bringing people together to shed light on the ongoing housing issues in Lloydminster.
It really opens a lot of people's eyes. I mean, a lot of people haven't experienced homelessness themselves, and they see it as a decision, as a almost a moral thing that they're deciding to be unhoused. They've made their own choices, and now they have to suffer the consequences. But that's not it at all. Nobody chooses to be unhoused or addicted or have mental health issues.
This symposium also aimed to educate people about the root causes of homelessness, as well as the barriers unhoused people face when trying to get back into a home.
We need all areas of housing to work together and come up with solutions across the spectrum of housing and the continuum of housing, for everybody in our community to have a safe place to put their head down at night. So we need to work collaboratively on this, and our community is doing pretty well at that.
One of the speakers at the symposium was author Jordan Fleming, who spoke about his own experience being homeless, as well as his book The God Bless Card, which is partly based on his own story. Fleming says he feels blessed to be able to speak about something very personal to him.
Well, it's been beautiful. I've been waiting a long time. Been waiting my whole life for this day, and it's been a beautiful way to bring in the book. It's been a great debut for it, so it all worked out. Timing was beautiful, God was great, and made it happen.
The symposium also covered chronic and Indigenous homelessness, as well as different parts of the housing continuum. Lane Hoffert, Primetime Local News.
Lloydminster Maternal Mental Health Initiative is celebrating their 10th anniversary and their third annual Flora's Walk this week with a 2-day event. Abby St. John has more.
I'm very happy to be joined today by Becky Walker with Midwest Family Connections to talk about maternal mental health and the couple events that are taking place this week. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you for having me, Abby.
Of course. Now, before we get into the two events that are or the three events that are taking place this week, the Maternal Mental Health Initiative Committee is celebrating your 10th anniversary this year. And I think that's really important to talk about, especially in terms of maternal mental health, I think is a very important subject to research about and to learn more about. So can you tell me a bit about this committee and how you guys are celebrating 10 years?
Yes, so the committee was formed of some local community agencies and community families who were noticing that there wasn't really a care pathway for those moms experiencing postpartum depression after giving birth. And so, some community families had to leave Lloydminster to help find some of that support, whether it was in Saskatoon or Edmonton. And so we wanted to see what can we do to develop more understanding about postpartum depression, maternal mental health, the importance of it, as well as bring in those supports so that way families don't have to leave Lloydminster to find support. And so, yeah, it's been 10 years since the start of the Maternal Mental Health Committee. So it's really exciting.
I think that's amazing that you saw the need for it in this community and it took on its own kind of entity and it's been around for 10 years and clearly it's needed. I think it is very important to learn more about postpartum depression because it's not just the baby blues. It is a real mental health thing that women do go through post giving birth. So I think it's very important to learn more about it. And that's amazing. Now, on the 8th and 9th, we're getting into the events. Starting on the 8th, there is a mental health expo in the morning, which will then run into the evening for the chalk walk, which will then lead into the 9th for Flora's walk. So there's three events, three separate events, but they all kind of connect to one another. So tell me everything we need to know about each of these events and how they kind of tie into one another.
For sure. So the Maternal Mental Health Day event will be Thursday, May 8th. It's starting at 9 o'clock with there's going to be booths open in the main concourse of the Prairie North Health Plaza with different community agencies and organizations just being able to share the programs and services that they're able to provide families and their children. 9:15, we're going to start our opening remarks down in Midwest Family Connections, opening up the event. And then we're going to move into our activities. So we'll have speakers of mothers sharing their own personal journeys and what that was like. We'll be doing some mindfulness activities, some mental health self-care pieces. We'll be doing a sharing circle, a little infant massage demonstration. And in between all of that, there's snacks and munchies and cake and giveaways. Every mom coming will also be getting a gift bag to take away. And so, yeah, just lots of community opportunities for moms and their partners too, because that's a big support for moms to just connect, see what is around for local resources and um, just have that opportunity to see our space as well. So. And then that evening at 6:30 for Chalk the Walk, we're meeting at Bud Miller Park at the picnic shelter, where it'll be that opportunity to, for families to share their words of inspiration and encouragement along some of the paved paths at Bud Miller Park. And then the next day, Flora's Walk will happen, meeting at the picnic shelter as well at 10. There again, there'll be some movement and mindfulness activities, a barbecue, and an opportunity to walk and enjoy all those messages that were written the night before.
That sounds like it is going to be a lot of fun and a great learning experience as well. Now, for Flora's Walk, can you tell me a little bit about the history with Flora's Walk and what it represents and who Flora is?
So Flora was a mom in Ontario, really excited to, become a mom and stuff. But subsequently, with the postpartum depression, she ended up taking her life. And so this is an opportunity to just raise awareness about how important that maternal mental health is, about having care pathways, acknowledgement for partners and family members about how hard it can be to see someone you love experiencing that and kind of feeling a little bit helpless and how to help them as well. So we really want to just, really gather around, rally support, know you're not alone in the things that you're going through and that there is help and support and people who care.
That sounds amazing, and it is a very beautiful way to honor Flora and those other women who do go through postpartum depression. I think that's incredible. Now, finally, is this open to anyone? Do people need to purchase tickets, or is it just come as you are on the day of? How will the day work?
Yeah, it is drop in. So, and you don't need to purchase tickets. You just come on down. Like I said, the booths open up at 9 o'clock, and then 9:15 opening remarks, and then the activities just kind of flow throughout the morning and stuff. So you stay as long as you want, or you can bring your partners, bring your support team. It's really open for any community member.
Wonderful. Well, it was fantastic talking to you about this, and I wish you the best of luck for all three events on Thursday and or on the 8th and the 9th.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
We'll have more primetime local news after the break. Child support is sometimes a difficult issue for couples who are in the process of separation or divorce. Stacey Comer has more on how it's calculated and the types of support.
Stephanie Dobson is joining us as she does at this time every week. Stephanie is a lawyer, mediator, and online educator with Hanka Divorce Law and Mediation offices in Edmonton and Lloydminster. Stephanie, thank you for joining me today.
Nice to see you, Stacey.
Well, we're going to go over a topic we have discussed in the past, but just kind of refresh it and update things. And it's about child support, which obviously is huge when people are going through separation and divorce. So
yeah.
First question to you, Stephanie, is we'll start with what is, I guess, a high level view of how child support works.
So, Stacey, there's two categories of support when we're talking about child support. One I call base support, and the other one is called the extras. Well, I call it the extra. So the base support is otherwise known as Section 3 child support, and that's the focus of today's session or today's episode. So this is the part of child support that covers things like food, clothing, and shelter, so the basics. It's the amount that most people will consider that they pay monthly to the other parent for the basics. The extras is another category of child support. It's called Section 7 of the Child Support Guidelines, and that's going to be the focus of next week's segment. So under this section, there's certain categories of expenses that get shared in between the parties or the parents based on their levels of income.
Okay, so let's take the base support a little bit further, Stephanie. How is that calculated?
So there's these things called the Child Support Guidelines that our viewers may have heard about, and this is the way to calculate all child support. So if you're married or living in Saskatchewan, we use the Federal Child Support Guidelines, and if you're unmarried in Alberta, we use the Alberta Child Support Guidelines. So they're very similar. All of them are very similar, but there's just that little difference with you're unmarried in Alberta. So there's 4 components to calculating this base child support. There's income of the paying parent, province of residence of the paying parent, the number of children, and the parenting schedule.
And now this calculation of income, Stephanie, I think that's something that could be a little bit complicated. So can you elaborate that for us on that?
Yes, so obviously the number of children and the province of residence of the paying parent is not that complicated. So it's usually the income level or the parenting schedule that gets complicated. So let's talk about that income level. So it's calculated using the child support guidelines again. So it can get a little bit complicated. If a parent is a T4 regular employee of a company, it can be really simple. You use the T4 income, you look at their line 1, 15,000, it's called now, on their income tax return, and bang, 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 you calculate it, and there we go. We've got child support. Where it can get more complicated is when a paying parent earns income from other sources. For example, when they own their own business, they're a farmer, or if for some reason their income tax return, their personal income tax return doesn't show their full income earning potential. So in those cases, we need to look further than just the personal income tax return and to look at income from all sources. So it might be that we need to look at the corporate tax returns and other supporting documents to do the income calculation. There's loads of people who use online support calculators to calculate their child support obligation, and this is a really good way to calculate support. They're accurate. The child support guidelines are based on a formula, but of course it can be kind of ineffective where the calculation of income is that more complicated factor.
You talked about a parenting schedule as a factor, Stephanie, that also affects income. So how does that work?
Well, there's 3 different scheduling arrangements that can impact child support. So the first one is a really simple calculation. So this is a calculation where the children live with one parent primarily. Now, the word primarily means over 60% of the time with one parent. So the calculation in that case is we use the income level of the parent who has under 40% of the time with the kids, and that's the parent who pays the child support to what we call the primary parent. I don't like that word, but that's just for our purposes today. That's the word I'll use. There's another calculation that happens when there's something called shared parenting. Now, shared parenting is where each parent has the children more than 40% of the time. So that's it could be 60-40, 50-50, 55-45, any of those variations. But as long as both parents have at least 40% of the time. Now, for this calculation, there's another set of rules for how child support will get calculated. And of course, we'll get into that in some other episodes. But in a very basic form, we do what's called an offset of child support. And that's one way to calculate child support when there's shared parenting. And then that third rule is where we have what's called split parenting. So split parenting is where one parent has one or more children and the other parent has one or more children. And so we, of course, again, there's another more complicated way to figure out child support in that case.
Is this something, Stephanie, where you need to get a lawyer involved to figure out how this is all supposed to go, or can you actually do this yourself?
Well, I was talking a moment ago about these online support calculators, so you can definitely go onto the web and find these online support calculators. And if you are a T4 income earner, it can be very simple. But if there's any of those more complicated ways to calculate your income, then you may need to get a lawyer or a mediator involved.
All right, Stephanie, insightful as usual. Thank you so much. And we'll chat with you again next week.
Thanks, Stacey.
Two Belgian teens have been sentenced for violating Kenya's wildlife conservation laws after they were found with 5,000 ants. The 2 Belgian nationals, both 19 years of age, were arrested last month. Authorities say the ants, which are a species that enhance the fertility of soil, were destined for Europe and Asian markets. The duo was given a choice of paying a $7,000 fine or serving 12 months in prison. That's all for news. Sports is next, but first here's a look at your closing market.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
World-class Gym will be putting on a hockey strength and conditioning camp starting on July 3rd. I sat down with the owner of the gym to discuss the details of the camp. I'm joined here today with Renee Weinkoff, the owner of World Class Gym in Lloydminster. So Renee, thanks for coming in today.
No problem.
So you have a hockey strength and conditioning camp coming up in this summer, July 3rd, I believe.
Yep.
So just kind of give me the details on that.
Well, we've been training athletes for 20 years now. This specific training is for, we're doing it with hockey right now. This camp itself is all hockey. It's only 2 days a week. How we're doing this one is one day is really a power day with a little bit of agility in it. So power and agility day. And then the third day, or the second day, sorry, is all high intensity footwork, hand-eye coordination, plyometrics and such. So there'll be a big power day and then a mixed agility day with it, and then a straight go hard day.
So you have a little bit of maybe some weight training, maybe a little bit of running, agility, kind of a little bit of everything?
Yeah.
Okay, and how many kids are going to be participating in this camp?
Usually it's all over the place. One year you got 10 guys, next year you got 40. So it's, but Lloydminster seems to be going crazy right now with hockey. We are doing really well around here. And I think now this should be a good year for a good camp.
And how long is the camp going to be going on for?
So there's a 6-week option, and there's an option for an extra additional 2 weeks. And either one's a great package. Just if you have the extra time, take the extra 2 weeks. There's other stuff we'll teach you that you're not going to learn in the first 6 weeks.
And I kind of figure it's mostly younger hockey players, not older players. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're targeting between 12 and 18. That's where we can help the most, because after 18, obviously they're on their way to somewhere else. So.
Yeah. And now the registration process. How can people or hockey players register for the camp?
You can go onto my personal page, Renee Weinkoff, at Facebook, or World Class Training and Nutrition on Facebook. And that's the best way. You can either message us on there, or our phone numbers are on there, our email address is on there, and contact us and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Awesome. And Renee, how vital do you think it is for young hockey players to get high elite training like this in Lloyd?
This is so amazing and so important. Like, 30 years ago when I played hockey, all we got to do is on-ice training and our games. These kids nowadays are on a whole different level, and there's no comparison to how we played back then to how we play now. These kids got it. This is important, and this honestly is taking them to the next level faster.
Awesome. And you mentioned that you've been doing the training for a little bit while. Just talk to me about the history of that.
Well, I bought the gym 23 years ago, and at first I just started training regular adults mostly. But then about 3 years in, teams started coming towards me, all kinds of teams, every kind of sport. And within the last 10 years, I would say, hockey has really attacked me, and it's really, their dry land training has went through the roof. So they are trying to take it to the next level around here.
Yeah, for sure. Hockey definitely has evolved over the years, for sure. And there's a lot more training going on than for sure back then.
Whole new world now, yeah.
And then is there anything else you'd like to add about the camp?
Honestly, if these kids got the time to do it, all I know is that I can take these kids from, sitting at a number 6 spot fitness-wise, and we can get them to a 10 in 6 weeks. There's just so much little things that they need to work on, improve on, that will take it from the field to the ice, and it's a whole different world for them in 6 small weeks.
Oh, that's crazy. And I'm going to throw in one more at you. If people are looking to contact you and register, what would be the best way to do that?
Is honestly through the Facebook. Facebook is the best way. It's got all of our numbers, our email address, or Facebook Messenger. That is honestly the best way to get a hold of us.
Awesome. Well, Renee, thank you for coming in today, and good luck with the camps coming up.
Thanks for having me.
And now let's take a look at your pets of the day.
Send photos of your pet and their name to have them featured on Pet of the Day.
that is all the time we have today for Primetime Local News. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.